Before Green Berets, before SEALs, before Special Operations was even a thing, there was a unit so hardcore, 75% washed out in training. And the ones who made it? Most didn't survive the war. Darby's Rangers, America's first commandos. And straight up, their story ends when the Rangers get caught in the deadliest trap of the war. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. The Allies are taking a beating. It wasn't pretty, it was frustrating, deadly, and slow to change. The German blitzkrieg tactics and superior weapons were making Allied infantry look like they didn't have much of a chance. The US realizes a couple things studying the early lessons during the outbreak of the war. What they needed was some hard-hitting, smaller, deadlier, and cross-trained outfits. These outdated, conventional, bulky, predictable infantry line units weren't working against the new German tactics, armor, and weapons. They needed to train up small teams that could punch way above their weight and inflict serious casualties. And they needed them yesterday. Enter Major William Orlando Darby, a 31-year-old West Point graduate, an artillery officer. He was an exceptional leader and didn't seem to have any fear whatsoever. Darby didn't want conscripts. He wanted volunteers, and the very best of them. Men willing to trade safety for a shot at becoming something no American soldier had ever been before. No whiners, slackers, or shirkers would be tolerated. Any sniveling, they were sent packing. From thousands of applicants, he picked 500. Being selected, that was the easy part, because what came next would break the better part of them. Darby's goal wasn't infantry. It was human weapons. Every ranger had to do everything. Infantry tactics, explosives, hand-to-hand, navigation, comms. No specialists, no weak links. Good solid men led by top-notch officers and NCOs. Cross-trained, disciplined, fearless, and deadly. They trained under live machine gun fire, not simulated. Real rounds, inches over their heads, so they'd learn to move low and move fast even when their brain was screaming at them to freeze. Sleep deprivation as a training tool, night infiltrations navigating by stars and touch alone. Cliff scaling, mock pillbox assaults, and pay attention to detail here. If you couldn't keep up, you were gone. No second chances, no appeals. You either made it or you didn't. It wasn't for everyone, that's for certain.
One ranger later said, "We didn't worry about the Germans. We worried about Darby kicking us out. He was harder on us than the enemy ever was."
And then they got their first mission. It was insane. November 1942, Operation Torch, Allied invasion of North Africa. The Rangers' job, spearhead the landing at Arzew, Algeria. Take out the coastal artillery batteries so the main force doesn't get shredded on the beach. High speed, low drag. That was the doctrine. They infiltrated under darkness, climbed sheer rock faces to bypass machine gun nests, silenced the guns with close quarters fighting, and precisely placed explosives. It was by the numbers, and Darby's Rangers were certified lethal. Operation Torch was a flawless execution. From Algeria, they pushed into Tunisia. At Sinad Station, 600 Rangers routed 2,000 Italian troops in a night assault so fast and brutal, the enemy thought they were facing a force 5 times their size. Darby led from the front. Always. That became the standard. Never ask a Ranger to do something you wouldn't do yourself. As a testament, Darby had been wounded at least 8 times during his service. But success has a price, and the bill was coming due. Salerno, Anzio, and the trap Sicily. Italy. The Rangers kept getting thrown into the worst situations. Constant deployment, high-risk missions. The attrition rate was brutal. At Salerno, they held beachheads for weeks. Non-stop close-quarters combat. They were the fire extinguishers, rushed in to plug holes wherever the line was breaking. Then came Anzio. Supposed to be a brilliant flanking move. Instead, a static bloodbath. Then on January 30th, 1944, the Rangers are tasked with a recon mission near Cisterna. Simple objective: infiltrate the town and block the German retreat. But intelligence failed, and by that, I mean intelligence failed catastrophically. 767 Rangers from the 1st and 3rd Battalions moved in under cover of darkness. They met no real resistance and slipped in to set their trap. By morning, they realized they had snuck right into a massive kill zone with no way out. Two full German panzer divisions were set up waiting for them on their 12, 9, and 3, with the exit at their 6 closed as well. Then the two panzer divisions let loose 7 kinds of hell. What happened next was a massacre. The Cisterna Catastrophe surrounded, outgunned, outnumbered at least 10 to 1. The German troops were using heavy weapons with close armor support. German artillery opened up on the Americans. The Rangers fought for hours, house to house, bunker to bunker. When they ran out of ammo, they fought with knives and fists. Out of 767 men, 6 escaped. 6. The rest were killed and captured. America's elite shock troops, the unit that had terrified the Germans for 2 years, wiped out in a single day. Around 170 were killed in action, and over 500 were captured. The 4th Battalion survived Cisterna but suffered devastating losses shortly after. Darby's original Rangers, the ones he'd forged in that hellish training, had effectively ceased to exist. German officers expected frightened infantry. Instead, they found small groups of Americans fighting alone, without orders, refusing to quit. And Darby. Devastated by the loss of his men, Darby was reassigned. But he came back to Italy in April 1945, just days before Germany surrendered. Brigadier General William Darby was scouting near Lake Garda when a mortar went off nearby and killed him instantly. He was posthumously awarded the Distinguished Service Cross, later the Medal of Honor. But the story doesn't end there. The unit was disbanded, the men were gone, but the idea was too valuable to die. The brutal training, the small unit tactics, the cross-discipline expertise, the focus on surprise, speed, cross-training, and a very high physical standard. All of it became the blueprint for every U.S. Special Operations unit that followed. When the military revived the Rangers in the 60s, they didn't invent something new. They refined what Darby, among other elite units from World War II, had started 30 years earlier. Train hard, you'll fight like you train. Darby proved it. His men lived it. And even though most of them were killed or wounded before they turned 25, they changed modern warfare forever. The original Rangers taught the world how to fight dirty, fast, and effectively. They're the grandfathers of the U.S. Army Rangers. Darby's Rangers were one of America's first commando units in World War II. Many of the surviving Rangers were transferred to the Devil's Brigade, America's first special service force, a joint force of Americans and Canadians, which is episode 1 in this series. Thanks for watching, we appreciate it.